it goes Pongilum Pongalam Ponnalit Kondade Ankanene Yelod Kul at Marai Ingerupai Nyaitraminum Vadakorum Nyandarame Nyayame Pukum Nal Arm, which means to celebrate the glorious golden Pongal day, O fair-eyed one, within the hearts of all, do stay. On this day when the sun journeys north once more, may true understanding in our hearts blossom forth. That's the meaning of the poem. So, Ankanene means the fair-eyed, beneficent one, usually referring to Shiva. Of course, we know Bhagavan's gaze, and so that recalls Bhagavan. Nyayam really means fitness, propriety, things like that, but I've used it here just for the rhyme. It really means jnana. It's called agape in Tamil. It means when you use metonymy in English, you use one word to imply another. I'll just say a few words about Pongal in case there are people that don't really know what it is. I don't know how many people have Pongal or similar. Oh, that's interesting that you've got those talking points. Inspiration for the verse is interesting because it's Anand has a group, belongs to a group in Tampa, and they were writing poems, and I just read one and I thought I'd like to write one of those. So I wrote one. So thanks to Tampa group for inspiring that. What is Pongal? I'm going to read quite a lot of this because quite frankly, I won't remember it if I try to, just try to talk off the top of my head. Pongal is a harvest festival in Tamil Nadu which celebrates the sun's return northward after reaching the most southerly point on the 21st of December. It is therefore a celebration and thanksgiving to the sun for the gifts of light and warmth, fertility, fruitfulness, life itself, in fact. The name derives from the rice dish, which is ideally prepared from freshly harvested rice and ritually boiled on the second day of the festival until it bubbles over to shouts of Poṅgalo, Pongal. If you Google it on YouTube, you can find some Tamil films with some nice Pongal clips on them. So you'll see what they do. Similar festivals are held in many other parts of India at this time, but they're not called Pongal. I think in Kerala it's called Poṅgala, but in Bengal, all over there are festivals, but with a different name. But anyway, as a kind of get a feel for what Pongal is, and the word Pongal, the word is derived from the Tamil root word Ponga, and this has the following meanings according to the Winslow Dictionary, which is like not just a dictionary, it's actually a mini encyclopedia of Hinduism in South India. And if anybody wants to learn Tamil, that and the Tamil lexicon are the two books that they will absolutely need to have. Right, so these are the meanings that Winslow gives. So it says, it's almost like a poem actually: to boil up, bubble by heat, to foam and rage as the sea, to ferment, to effervesce, to rise as bread from leaven, to swell, increase, expand, extend, to grow intense, to abound, flourish, be fruitful, to rise, grow high, become elevated, to swell as the heart in anger, sorrow, joy, to be flushed with hope or desire, to be elated, to boil rice in cow's milk as a religious rite. So that's the word Pongal, and that's, it's a good word for, you may agree, for the festival. Right, so what is the significance of there's one more topic I would like to mention here, because celebrate winter solstice. Why is it held on the 14th of January? A good question. A simple way to explain this is to imagine a Vedic astrologer around the year 272 BCE, before Christ. He was looking at the sky at sunrise on the 21st of December and watching the sunrise every year against a certain configuration of fixed stars in the heavens. Unfortunately, the problem is that the stars are not actually fixed. From the Earth's perspective, the canopy of the stars appears to revolve very slowly west, taking around 26,000 years to complete one revolution, a movement which only becomes noticeable over very large periods of time. This is due to the wobble in the perpendicular axis of the revolving Earth, which is rather like the wobble of a spinning top as it slows down. You get an apparent backward movement, which is the axis moving like that, very, very slowly. So this phenomenon has the rather grand name Procession of the Equinoxes. If we brought the Vedic astrologer into the 21st century, he might be chagrined to learn that he now has to wait till the 14th of January to witness his expected solstice configuration. Because the stars are so important, their relevance to the festivals maintain, and therefore the festivals tend to move rather than they move the festivals back to meet the phenomena, as it were. So on to the verse itself. The idea of this verse is a simple one. When we are born into a physical body, we go rushing out from our true self, or at least we think we do that, investigating all the apparent stuff out there, until at some point, hopefully, we see through the illusion and gradually make our way back to our true home in the self. The idea of the sun returning north after its stay in the southern hemisphere is taken as a metaphor for this process. Bhagavan expresses a similar idea in his birthday Vemba, written in 1912 when he was living in Virupaksha cave. I'm sure several people gave this verse on their Jayanti satsang. There are two of them actually, but I'll just give the one. It says, "You who are preparing such a great celebration for my birthday. The true day of birth is the day on which you are born into the reality that shines eternally as one, having carefully examined what birth is and realized that neither birth nor death exist." Have I missed anything? No, that's it. No.
I think you answered all the questions. I'll just go back to the verse. So Robert explained what is Pongal, why it is celebrated in mid-January, rather than earlier, and the significance behind the Pongal, and they also connected it with Bhagavan's verse, where Bhagavan wrote actually two verses. Yes. Right, when they were trying to celebrate his birthday, he was chiding them a bit, and I'm saying, "What's the point?" So at this point, I'll turn it over to the group and see if there are any questions or comments to Robert. That's a nice verse, Robert.
I think it's nice. I mean, even I think it's a nice verse.
So, Anand, can you read the verse, please? Yeah. So, can you read the verse as someone who has been sort of inspiring this also?
Namo Ramanaya. It is a pleasure, to hear Robert say it the way he does. Let me try mine. Pongidam Poṅgalam பொன்னாளில் கொண்டாட அங்கணனே எல்லோர்க்குள் ஆத்மாவாய் இங்கிருப்பாய் ஞாயிறு மீண்டும் வடக்குறு ஞான்றுமே நியாயமே பூக்கும் நாள் ஆம். I'll read it a little faster. பொங்கிடும் பொங்கலாம் பொன்னாளில் கொண்டாட அங்கணனே எல்லோர்க்குள் ஆத்மாவாய் இங்கிருப்பாய் ஞாயிறு மீண்டும் வடக்குறு ஞான்றுமே நியாயமே பூக்கு நாளாம்.
You read it very nicely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful verse. And,
Beautiful verse.
you know, for a person like me, born and mostly brought up in southern India, but then moved over to Canada a long time ago. It was such a thrilling experience to see Robert, Robert's first poem. I didn't know that he was so well versed, in Tamil. That's my lack of, understanding, or my ignorance, that I didn't know about his contribution before. But once we got together, we clicked.
We clicked, didn't we? Not immediately, yeah.
Yeah, so it has been going on for a while now, and I enjoy it. Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. It's been really special.